You can enter in the laboratory and then find an experiment in physics on density, for example. This is now in the exam. Anything can come. So they can tell you, find the density of 3 marbles. Okay, 3 marbles. You know marbles, those marbles that you used to play with when you're a kid. So you can go and then find the measuring cylinder that I've put for a measuring cylinder that is calibrated. It's calibrated like this. So I can say this is 10 and so on, this is 20 and so on, 30 there and so on, and then 40 there. And then you find, they tell you put the initial water as the volume of the water. This is the cylinder, so the volume of the water here, let's say we put 20. You can put any amount, they'll tell you what to put. You just pour water and then make it reach 20, or you find that put water for you. So meaning the initial volume of water is what? So initial volume of water. So the initial volume of water, it's not too, the initial volume of water is what? We say initial volume of water. So the initial volume of water is what? 20 cubic centimeters. Before you put anything inside. But I want you to calculate the density of the marbles. So you put the marbles inside, right? This is when you put 3 marbles, right, the water level increases. You know what I mean, huh? If you put 3 marbles, they can tell you 3 marbles, 4 marbles, 5 marbles. So you put these 3 marbles in this water. What happens to the water level? The water level that was here suddenly rises. Let's say it rises to 40. You see, it was at 20. Here it's 10. Then there it's 30. The water level has this water level has raised to 40. So meaning final volume. What is final volume? So it means the final volume is 40 now, since the water level is here. Okay, it's at 40. It can be 41, 42. After you put the marbles, so the final volume is now at 40 cubic centimeters. You see, so this meaning this volume, it is a volume of these 3 marbles, because when you put the marbles inside, the water level increased because the water raised upwards. But how do you find the mass? You're going to find a beam balance. A beam balance looks something like this, and then you see it has got an arrow there that shows these calibrations. So you measure using this beam balance. You put 3. You remove the marbles in there. You put the 3 marbles on top here. You measure how the weight or the mass of these marbles. Let's say you measure the mass, and then you find that the marbles, the mass of 3 marbles, it is, let's say 600, for example. Let's say 600 grams. Right? It can be any number of grams. Let's say, for example, 600 grams. After you measure, you find that the mass is 600 grams. So the mass is 600. Mass is actually 600 grams. How do you find the density? If the question says, find the density of, let's say they say, find the density of 3 marbles. Usually they can't even, first they'll ask, what is the first question that they can ask is, what was the volume of the water before anything was added? They can say, what was the volume of water before marbles were put? Okay, What was the volume of the water before the marbles were put? You remember the volume of the water before we put the marbles? The volume was what? Was 20. So you write, first question, 20 cubic centimeters. Second volume, second question. What is the volume of the marbles? That would be the second question. The volume of the marbles is final volume minus initial volume. Since they were, so if I find final volume minus initial volume, so the volume of the marbles is final volume minus initial volume. So the final volume, when you put the marbles, you remember what happens to the marbles? The volume increases. So the volume 40 minus initial was 20. So what's the volume of the marbles? 20 cubic centimeters. The third question can be calculate the density of 3 marbles. Calculate the density of 3 marbles. So you already know the density of 3 marbles. You do your formula there. You remember this formula. So density is equal to mass over volume. So density is going to be equal to mass over volume. What's a mass? You remember when we measured the mass using our beam balance, the mass was what? We measured the mass. The mass was 600 here. So the mass of 6 of them is 600. 600 of 3 of them, rather 3 marbles. The volume of 3 of them is 20. The volume of the marbles. So you cancel that, you cancel that, you cancel that, you cancel. So I state 30 grams per cubic centimeters. 30 grams per cubic centimeters. That's the volume of the 6 marbles. I mean, that's the density of the 6 marbles. What about if they say the density of 1 marble as the fourth question? What is the density of 1 marble? You remember that that was the density of 6 marbles. Now about 1 marble. So the density of 1 marble, you do what? You do your formula again. So you say density is equal to mass over volume. So you say density is equal to mass over volume. What's the mass of 1 marble? You remember the mass of 6 marbles when we weighed it? It was 600. This was the mass of 3 marbles. When you weighed 3 marbles, it was 600. So if you want to find the mass of 1 marble, you divide this one by what? By 3, You see? By 3, because this 600 is a mass of how many marbles? 3. So to find the mass of 1 marble, you divide it by 3, because there were 3 of them. So it means 200, the mass of 1 marble. The volume of what's the volume of 1 marble? The volume of 6 marbles, the volume of 3 marbles rather, when you put the 3 marbles in the measuring cylinder, the volume increased to 40. So the volume of 6 is 20. Of 3 of them is 20. What about the volume of 1? Meaning you divide by 3, which will give you 6.667. So that's the one that you put here, 6.667. So what is 200 divided by 6.667? You find it's also 30.00 maybe. Yeah, 30.00 actually. 200 divided by 6.667. Why am I dividing by 3? This mass is for 3 of them. So for you to find one of them, you have to divide by 3, because there were 3 marbles. So to find one, you divide 600 by 3. And this volume was for 3 of them. That's the reason why this volume 20 divided by 3 to find the volume of one marble, so that you find the density of one marble. Have you noticed that the density of one marble is the same as the density of 3 marbles? Because the density here is 30 grams per cubic centimeter. The density is 30 grams per cubic centimeters. What do you notice about these two answers? What do you notice? So what do you notice about the two densities? What do you notice? What do you notice about the two densities? What do you notice about the two densities? They are all same. The two densities are same. You see, all of them are 30. The density of 3 marbles is 30. The density of 1 marble is 30. The two densities are same, meaning density is always constant. Meaning density is always constant.